Hey there YouTube, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living, and today we're going to talk about the only healthy way to follow a raw food diet. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate you to go down and hit that subscribe button now and click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel and you can come back and check out some more of my content. Doing this on a Monday here in South Alabama. Hope y'all had a nice weekend. It is pretty nice here. Can't complain. So let's get right to it. There's so many people that have advice on a raw food diet. How do you know which way to go? One person will tell you this, and then somebody else will tell you something that's diametrically opposed to what the first person told you. And they all have good language, like I've had this happen to me before where you've heard somebody explain something and you've heard somebody explain just the opposite, and you're not the biggest science person in the world, so it doesn't necessarily, you can't necessarily argue with either one. That's why ever since I've been doing this channel, I like to stress to people that your health is your responsibility. Stop. A lot of people, I see a lot of YouTubers, people that are into natural medicine, whether it's raw food, natural healing, whatever, talk about not putting your health into the hands of healthcare professionals, but then people just trade that in as soon as they get to a raw food diet or raw lifestyle. But then, and it could even be worse, I don't know, that's arguable, but then they put themselves completely in the hands of a bunch of gurus online. I'm telling you, over my last coming up on 8 years of doing this lifestyle, it has just amazed me how people get, just mesmerized by these raw food diet gurus. I ain't never had a guru. I've had people I've watched, and there's a lot of people along the way that I've taken information from, but I don't do that guru thing, and I don't see a lot of results coming from people that have that mentality. You need to research everything for yourself. You need to be searching this stuff. Damn it, I know I've said this a million times doing videos, but Jesus, Google. Do you understand me? Google. Google if you don't know what Google is. Or I guess if you didn't know what Google is, you couldn't Google. But Google is this massive search engine. You can basically find any piece of knowledge you want out there. YouTube is a companion to Google. YouTube is owned by Google. There is a video for everything on YouTube, so use it. Use it. I'll put a term out there sometimes on Instagram or something, and it'll be defined. I've written it out, spelled it perfectly, and somebody will say, "What is that?" And I'm like, why would you not simply copy paste, bing, bang, boom, I'm in Google, boom, I'm going. That's how I've done since day one. That's how I came across this lifestyle in the first place. I've always been skeptical about it. I've always, been very like, all right, I want to do this on my own. I'm not taking anybody. So I actually like to go a little further than not just like putting my health or what I'm doing in somebody else's hands, but I actively kind of go in with a little skepticism, kind of trying to prove them wrong. And like I say, there's a lot of wonderful information out there, but you need to know how to sift through all that information, cut it down, and make some sort of sense out of it. And I'll tell you, it all goes back to all my knowledge. Well, it goes back there. It goes back to Google and YouTube, because using it properly has led me to other media. It's led me to books that I've read. It's led me to other websites and what have you. But it always came through doing my own searches, being very focused about it. Okay, this is what I'm working on right now. I go in. I don't just willy-nilly. You can't follow. Please, 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 let me say this again. Don't be following any one person. I've used this one a number of times too, the old Bruce Lee analogy of like, take what's useful, discard the rest. That's all I've done along the way. I've taken bits and pieces from here, taken bits and pieces from there. That's why that people that even I might not go all in on what they say, I've gotten information from them. And that brings me to another point too. Learn how to use this information, learn how to search for this information, learn how to go through this information, and you learn how to use this information with no emotion, no like, oh, well, I like this person or whatever. And also, too, I would say the opposite. Don't dismiss people so easily. Don't dismiss people because they say, I see this all the time. I'll just reference somebody in a video or something I'm doing on Instagram. I'll reference somebody, and all of a sudden there'll be that one person that's the annoying person on social media. We all know that person but they said so-and-so about this, and it has nothing to do with the subject. If I mention a person, I'm never saying that I'm standing by everything this person has said, ever will say, might say in the future. Who knows? I've learned stuff from idiots. I've literally learned stuff from idiots out there. Things that, like, okay, either I've read a bit of their work, I've read a book of theirs, or I've watched a number of their videos, and I don't have a whole lot of use for them. 90% of the stuff that they say, show, do, share, whatever, I think is BS. But I got 10% from them. So I instead of sitting out there like the average person online does and sitting around all day and pontificating on YouTube videos and trying to pick them apart and go, oh, but I don't agree with this. No, I ain't got time for that. All this is done for my health. I mean, even though I live here by myself, I'm not lonely enough just to go in and make comments and do stuff just to get to have a conversation with anybody. I'm taking what I can use, I'm applying it, and I'm moving on. I ain't got time for anything beyond that. So there's people, like instead of trying to, like I say, get everything that you need from one person, use a whole bunch of different people. I've used a whole lot of different sources in this. I can think just off the top of my head, and this is in no order of like significance. It's just as I remember it. 80-10-10. I'm not an 80-10-10 raw food diet guy, but I follow a lot of what's applied in 80-10-10. I take a lot of information, and I have taken a lot of information from that. A lot of the people that I resonate with, like a Chris Kendall. Chris Kendall's big on the 80-10-10. You've heard me mention them before, but the non-raw people, Dr. Greger, Dr. Bernard, bits and pieces here and there. I learned a lot from Tanny Raw, early on in my journey. A number of YouTubers. And once again, I'm not throwing YouTubers under the bus just because they don't have a publishing house putting out a book. I'm just saying, or I've said in the past, I don't necessarily thinking YouTube should be your only source. It should be a mix of things, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. There's so much good stuff out there. And a lot of the raw people, like I say, I've taken bits, pieces. First, it was very heavy fruit. We add some greens in. Then we add more greens in. Then I really understand about the greens. I've learned what I want to supplement from a different crowd of people. And even more so recently, as of today, I kind of started doing a little bit of spring cleaning, as I'm doing this, the 2nd of March, started doing a little bit of spring cleaning. And I'm even taking some stuff from the medical medium. Now, he's another one that's kind of controversial, and somebody will want to, well, medical medium said this. I don't necessarily agree with everything the medical medium says. I take what is useful to me. If I overstated that point enough, I take what is useful to me. I don't have time to work to, fool with the rest of it. You have to pay it. The first part is research. You research things, you find things that make sense to you, then you start experimenting with your body. How does this make you feel? And you have to give yourself a reasonable amount of time. You can't do something for 3 days, well, I didn't feel that, or it actually made me bloat, or it actually made me feel bad. That's going to happen if your body is used to putting non-food into it. So you have to pay very close attention to how you feel, and that's what I've been doing for 7.5, almost 8 years. I pay attention to how I feel. I keep researching even though I'm feeling good, and I tweak things slightly to feel a little bit better. I try this, I try this, I try this. With the medical medium, I decided, okay, once I finally started listening to the information, the morning celery juice makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of the stuff he talks about cleansing the liver makes a lot of sense to me. And it's, it's about cleansing without like restricting yourself or doing some sort of fast or whatever. And another thing too, like, you know, hey, and I might not be your cup of tea. If you're 25, 30 years old, you may look like, well, hell, he don't look that good. I don't necessarily, but I'll at least see some sort of healthiness in the person that you're following. Like, I get this all the time. I have people like I don't take my information from stick people. And that's why I've kind of like, over the years, kind of split a little bit more. Not necessarily in the way I eat, but just in the networking with raw vegans and whatever, because I get all these people telling me, oh, you should really listen to so-and-so. And I'm like, he's a stick man. I don't listen to stick men. I got tired of being a stick man myself. This has all been me from day one. Now, once I say it, like I say, I give props to a lot of people, a lot of information, but I've been driving the car. I've been driving since day one. I've never just said, okay, you drive the car, just like going on autopilot and followed one person like religiously. Everything that I have done to myself, with myself, I've put in myself so far, makes sense to me when I did it. I've never done, and when people are telling you things that just don't make sense, that just on a deep level don't make sense, pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Now, in the beginning, you don't have those instincts. You don't have that body intuition like you will, but just be open to it and it will come. But research. Open mind, open your mind. Always be ready to learn something new, and always be ready to discount something no matter how much you believe in it right now. So anyhow, just kind of starting to ramble at this point. I hope you enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again later this week. Peace.